Hello students, good morning and welcome to week number 3 of summer school. I am Mr. Oza, your English teacher. Just want to give you a quick reminder. This is week number 3. If you haven't yet finished the assignments for week 1 and 2, I want you to do those first, and you can check the links in the description below to get access to those assignments. So let's jump right into week number 3. Here we go. These are the instructions for this assignment. Very simple. Number 1, watch this video. Already doing that. Excellent. Number 2, you're going to watch the movie Imperial Dreams on Netflix. If you don't have a Netflix account, then just let me know and we can get you access to this movie. And number 3, you're going to complete the assignment on Google Classroom. If you need the class code to join the Google class, I will also put that in the description below. Alright, so simple instructions. Here we go. Let's talk about Imperial Dreams. First of all, as you know, we are studying African American films in this summer school unit. Why? Well, as I've explained to you before, learning about another race or another ethnic group through their fiction is one of the best ways to relate to a group of people that you might not understand fully. Alright, specifically in this movie, you're going to learn about all kinds of issues, laws, and other public policies that affect African Americans in society. Alright, so by putting yourself into the shoes of these fictional characters, you might better understand the specific issues, the laws, and the policies that affect these people. Alright, why else should we watch these African American films? They're just great movies. Alright, in this particular movie, you are going to see some of these themes. Now, the previous 2 movies that we watched in this unit were both Spike Lee films, or Spike Lee joints, he calls them. So we're going to switch gears here to something a little more contemporary, the movie Imperial Dreams, released in 2014. So again, here are some of the themes that we're going to explore while studying this movie. First of all, mass incarceration. So incarceration, or putting people into prison. All right, for what reasons do we put people into prisons? Who do we put into prisons? Is it legitimate or illegitimate? And what can we do to maybe change the system of mass incarceration? Secondly, the idea of corrections. We often refer to the prison system as the correction system. So what do we do to correct the behaviors of criminals? What do we do to help improve these people's lives once they are released from prison? Alright, another theme, another topic that you will explore while watching this movie is racial profiling, specifically when it comes to the police. Do the police racially profile people living in certain cities, in certain areas of certain cities, and what effect does that have on the people being profiled? Alright, next one, the 4th theme here is systematic inefficiency. And so when it comes to the system, the proverbial system, what makes the system that we live in inefficient? Is the system that we live in built to help us? Is it built to hurt us? Is it built to kind of suppress us? Or is it built to help us live and thrive and achieve? So when I'm talking about systematic inefficiency, I'm talking about the system put in place in this country and all over the world for that matter to help us get educated, to help us get jobs, to help us raise families, to help us live, get housing. So all of these kind of systems put in place that are in theory meant to help people, is it really efficient? Are they efficient, or are they inefficient? The next one is social services. Alright, so this does definitely tie into the 4th theme here of systematic inefficiency, but social services, what effect do they have on the general population? What effect do they have on the upper class, the middle class, or the lower class? Frankly, do social services help us, or do they hurt us? What about the social services system can we change to make more efficient? Just exploring the idea of social services in general in this movie is something that is an emotional, and it's kind of a tough thing to watch, as you will understand when you watch this movie, but definitely an interesting theme that is explored in this film. And then finally, a pretty ubiquitous theme, a very important concept in the idea of human society is parenting. All right, the movie is going to follow John Boyega, who is the actor playing the character known as Bambi, and the idea of parenting. What is good parenting? What is effective parenting? What can you do as a parent to help your child or children survive, and not just survive, but thrive and be, successful? So here are some of the main themes that you'll be exploring as you watch this movie, Imperial Dreams. So just some context for this film. Imperial Dreams was the winner of the 2014 Sundance Audience Award. So if you're not familiar with the Sundance Film Festival, every year in Utah they have this film festival where the best kind of independent films are shown in theaters to critics and to just regular audience members, just regular people like you and me. And this is where a lot of great filmmakers and great films get discovered. And so I think it's really cool that they have what's called the Audience Award at the Sundance Film Festival. That means that the audience, just regular people like you and me, get to vote on what they think the best movie of the festival is, right? So there are like critics, people who make a living out of reviewing films, and they choose other award winners for cinematography and acting and directing and music and all of that. But to me, the most important award out of the Sundance Film Festival is the Audience Award. The regular people sitting in the movie theater with the popcorn and the soda saying, I like that movie the best. That movie really connected with me. So back in 2014, this movie won that award. If you care about Rotten Tomatoes, the critic rating is 92%. It's a pretty good rating. So that means a vast majority of critics as well as the audience really enjoyed the movie. So Audience Award is based on the regular people's opinion, and this particular Rotten Tomatoes percentage, this is based on critical analysis. So again, like film critics whose career is to discuss movies. It got 92%, which is saying a lot about the film. So now here, in my opinion, this movie is a nod to two other movies that you may have seen before, maybe not. So Boys in the Hood is a movie about the projects in Los Angeles, as you can see here in this picture, starring Cuba Gooding Jr. and Ice Cube. And this is just an amazing movie about the hood in Los Angeles. So if you get a chance, definitely check that movie out. This movie, Imperial Dreams, here, this is the main character, John Boyega, who we'll talk about on the next slide. He's living in the projects in Los Angeles, and that's a very similar kind of plot line to Boys in the Hood. In Imperial Dreams, you see John Boyega taking care of his young son. In the movie The Pursuit of Happiness, starring Will Smith, you see right here just a similar vibe, an African-American father who's kind of on his own and trying to take care of his son, provide a better life for his son, and facing a lot of the challenges that we saw on the last slide of systematic inefficiency and racial profiling and stuff like that. And throughout the course of his journey, he's got his son there along with him. And I just feel like this movie is a nod, or just kind of a callback to these like two amazing movies. And so I thought, what better way than to honor these two movies by watching Imperial Dreams, which I feel like kind of takes the best of both movies and like kind of squeezes them together. But still, these two movies, if you get a chance, two of my favorite movies ever made. You gotta watch these movies if you get a chance. Alright, so let's jump into a little explanation of some of the main characters here in Imperial Dreams. Once again, this actor, his name is John Boyega, and his character, his name is Bambi. Yes, like Bambi the deer. One of the lines in the movie that I thought was interesting was, he says, the softer the name, the harder the person. And so he is an ex-con or an ex-convict released from prison just recently. So in colloquial terms, you might consider him a hard person. And for this reason, he names his son, or nicknames his son, Angel Baby, saying that If you have a soft name, you're going to be hard as a person, which I just thought was an interesting philosophy, an interesting line. So he mentions in the movie that from the age of 12 on, he's been in and out of the prison system. It doesn't say explicitly what age he is when the movie takes place. You can judge that for yourself, but he does say since age 12, he's been in and out of the prison system. So he's a young father, and he's trying to escape the gang lifestyle. So he was in a gang, was involved in all the gang stuff, before and during his kind of like prison time. And now that he's spent over 2 years sentence in jail for assault with a deadly weapon, now he wants to like change his life around, and he wants to take care of his son and create a better future for his son. And he's going to try to do his best to kind of move on from that gang life and start fresh. All right, Bambi's half brother is Wayne. Wayne is a very interesting character. He's trying to pay his way through college. He really tries to make the appearance that he's an educated man. He's like really into wearing suits. He's really into, his look, and trying to make it look like he is, educated, bettering himself, trying to create a better future for himself. And so it's just very interesting how he goes about doing that. And this, what I'm about to explain kind of hints at the theme of systematic inefficiency. He wants to go to college. He wants to get educated. He's, a young man living in the projects in Los Angeles, and he doesn't have the money to pay for college. So how is he going to pay for it? Well, one of the kind of plot lines in the movie is doing some very, sketchy things to get the money to pay for college, right? You would think that somebody who wants to go to college and wants to get educated and make their life better can just do so if that's what they desire, especially if they're coming up from, a tough socioeconomic background. But he's like, how am I going to pay through college? I might have to go and like do all these drug deals, offered to me by my uncle, so that I can have enough money to pay for college and go get a business degree. So the story of Wayne kind of does hint at that theme of systematic inefficiency. How is it that a guy who wants to better his life, get a college education, get a good job, can only do so by selling drugs? And so speaking of selling drugs and that kind of influence, we come to Uncle Shrimp. Uncle Shrimp is the uncle of Bambi, and of course Wayne as well. And Uncle Shrimp is involved in gangs and the drug trade. All right, so Uncle Shrimp kind of represents the world or the lifestyle that Bambi is trying to get away from. And it just, his presence in the movie shows that it's really hard to just turn over a new leaf, to try and start fresh and to try and better yourself. It's easy to say, but it's really hard to do when you have, people and a lifestyle that is constantly trying to pull you back. And when it comes to money, the money factor is huge in influencing Bambi, because Uncle Shrimp, has the money to be able to help these characters like Bambi and Wayne, but in order to access that money, they have to do some very questionable activities. Alright, so how are you going to watch this movie? You're going to watch it on Netflix. If you don't have a Netflix login, please let me know, and we will get you squared away, and we will get you access to that movie, so don't worry about that. Quick content warning before you watch this movie. Similar to the last couple of movies, I just want to make sure you're aware of what you're getting yourself into here when you watch this movie. It is a rated R movie. You are going to hear a lot of swearing. Violence, you'll see violence, and you will see death. Okay, so just fair warning, it is an R-rated movie. You will see some alcohol and drug use. Alright, if you do not feel comfortable watching these scenes, go ahead and skip them. I don't want you to watch them if they are triggering, if they make you feel uncomfortable, or if they are, just things that you don't want to see. So if you feel uncomfortable watching the entire movie, then I totally understand, and we'll come up with an alternative assignment for you. So I just want you to be aware of the content that you're going to see in this film. Alright, once you're done watching the movie, you're going to log into Google Classroom. Alright, the class code is right here. Put it in the description below as well. You only have 4 questions to do once you have finished watching this movie, and if you've finished the first 2 assignments, you know exactly what this is going to look like. So let's jump right in and take a look at the questions that you will be asked. So as you watch the movie, I want you to write down 3 things. 1, 2, 3, nice and simple. All right. You can choose from any of the following prompts or just kind of write whatever comes to your mind, whatever comes into your heart. Anything that you thought was interesting, any music that you liked. I think this movie has a very interesting soundtrack. When you watch the last 2 Spike Lee movies, Do the Right Thing and School Days, music I feel like was at the front and center. Just a huge part of the movie. And when you watch School Days, you know, the movie is a musical, as we've talked about before, maybe a little bit too much in the center of the movie. But this movie is different. Imperial Dreams, the music is in the background. In my opinion, it's an important part of creating the vibe of the movie, but it's not front and center. The acting, the atmosphere, the characters themselves take on a much larger role in the vibe of the movie as opposed to the music. It's kind of an offbeat soundtrack. It's great, though. The music, I think, is excellent. Any characters that you liked, write them down. There are some kind of side characters, obviously, that were not mentioned, you know, here in these previous slides. So write down anything about those characters that you liked. Any specific actors that you liked. If you ask me, personal opinion, John Boyega, the protagonist, main character who plays the character Bambi, is a phenomenal actor. You might recognize him from some other movies, some other very popular movies, some other very popular sci-fi movies. But yeah, he's a great actor. I enjoy all of his work. Anything that you didn't like about the movie, go ahead and write that down. I would like to hear that as well. Any questions that you had, anything that you were curious about, and finally, any connections between the movie and the real world. All right, moving on to number 2. All right, you're going to see a list of plot-based questions. So when you log into Google Classroom and you are ready to look at these questions, you're going to see a nice long list. Choose 2, at least 2 questions to answer. All right, they're going to be basically asking you your reactions to certain scenes. Which characters made the right decisions, the wrong decisions? How did you feel? You know, what emotions were evoked when you watched certain scenes? So choose at least 2 of those to answer. You can do as many as you want. I'm sure, you know, those questions will be pretty easy for you. Again, just asking for your opinions and, you know, your reactions to the scenes that you saw in the film. All right, number 3. It's going to be my favorite question. It's going to be hard for me to not go into depth here. I don't want to spoil anything, and I want you to come up with your own opinion before I share my opinion. Okay? So in the movie, this is, by the way, this is a character named Day, short for Dayton, and this is the main character's son, Bambi's son. So when Bambi gets out of prison, he, you know, makes it very clear to the audience and to the other characters in the movie, he's first priority, take care of his kid and create a better future for him. All right, we're going to see horses in the movie. Not a ton, but there's maybe 3 or 4 scenes where you see horses. At one point, Dayton is riding a horse, and you even see him playing with toy horses. And, you know, look at that smile, man. That's $1 million smile. Anytime there's a horse involved in a specific scene, you will see this kid just so happy. So again, this is hard for me. I don't want to spoil anything. That's all I'm going to say. What does the horse symbolize in this movie? Again, symbolism is when one image or one concept represents a much bigger and deeper idea. So here in this movie, the horse is a pretty simple concept, a pretty simple image. But what does that horse represent? What bigger idea or what bigger concept does that horse represent? It's taking all my strength here to not just blurt out all of my opinions and all of my thoughts about the horses. I just want you to enjoy the movie and think about it on your own. But I'm going to give you extra credit if you text me or call me and ask me what I think. I have some opinions about the horses, and I'm really excited to share those opinions with you. I'm just not going to do it now because I want you to come up with your own opinion. All right, and finally we move on to question number 4. What's the moral of this story? Are there any life lessons that you learned from watching this movie? Secondly, what is the message that this filmmaker is trying to send? Like, what is the reason for the filmmaker making this movie? What are they trying to say to you? Like, what is the whole point? What is the message to an average, high school student or an average person watching this movie? What is the filmmaker trying to say about our country? The system that our country has set up? And is the filmmaker trying to say anything about families or our families? Right? So question 4 is getting at, like, what is the overall message? What is the overall, just message that the filmmaker is trying to send? Obviously, this is an interesting story with an interesting plot. You want to see what happens to the characters, but you can be 100% sure that this filmmaker is trying to send you a message about our country, about the system that exists in our country, and even our families. Alright, that's going to do it for this video. If you need any help, any assistance whatsoever, please get in touch with me. Phone number is right here. All of this is going to go in the description below as well. If you prefer to email me, go for it. If you want to call me, text me. If you want to talk on FaceTime, or if you want to do a Zoom class, I'm down for all of that. Please let me know if you need any help on this assignment. So guys, I want to thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoy Imperial Dreams. Again, thanks for watching, and I will see you next week.